Hello once again, welcome back inside the Tier 4 studio here in Morgantown, West Virginia, the second half of two-a-days for me, Mike Casazza of the Charleston Daily Mail. Let's get right into what we saw today. The first half hour of practice, the first practice for West Virginia in the fourth season for Dana Holgorsen, and as I hinted earlier, not a whole lot of news, not to say there wasn't news, not a whole lot of really useful information, but not to say devoid of meaning for the time that we were allowed to be in there. Let's start with the most riveting part of the day. The first thing I wanted to see, of course, was quarterbacks. So I go out there, I put my eyes on the guys in the gold jerseys, and notice I don't see William Crest. Panic? Nah. But certainly arched my brow, so looked around, tried to find someone to talk to, and as I did that, I saw punt return, something I'm always interested in because you kind of get an idea right away who the coaches think are the most skilled players with the ball in their hand. And wouldn't you know it, gold jersey with the blue 16, William Crest returning punts. I don't know that we'll ever see that again. I don't put any meaning into it. It might have been a freshman initiation thing. He might have won or lost a bet. It might have just been for the cameras, but I guess I can't say that we're not treated to certain things when the media comes out to practice. Let's stick right with the quarterbacks. Touched on it this morning. I was curious to see how things would be sorted out. And right away, as expected, Clint Trickett, Paul Millard, Skyler Howard, and then, of course, punt returner William Crest. We know about the other three guys. Hadn't seen Crest before. My initial thoughts of him is he looks the part. He is as tall as Clint Trickett, but is a lot thicker. I would say 30, 35 pounds heavier, going by not only my eyeballs, but the roster. And if you put them next to one another and you pointed out who was the freshman, who was the senior, you'd probably get it backwards if you didn't know any better. Crest, a little bit nervous, I thought. Maybe kind of abandoned some fundamental stuff. Some mechanics, wasn't terribly accurate. Saw him just lose a ball, bringing his arm back one time. Let's not hold that against him. Perhaps he was winded from catching punts. Offensively, though, they obviously will have more options. They won't have to kind of break in as many people. That is the most optimistic part if you talk to the coaches and the players of this time of this season. They have a fleet of receivers, and you have a good idea of who Kevin White and Mario Alford are, what they can do. Seems Takil Short has continued to grow as one of the inside receivers, but WVU has not had that second inside receiver for quite some time. Remember how good Millhouse and Brown were in the Orange Bowl, and how good the offense moved that day. And they really haven't had that threat opposite of a guy like Tavon Austin or even a Takil Short. Since then, so much they've kind of learned to add that hybrid guy, that tight end, that fullback, that H-back, into the offense just so they can kind of use another offensive skill player out on the field. I don't know who it's going to be this year. Certainly Cody Clay, Garrett Hope, guys like that, they might have a shot. Certainly Darian Bryant, a guy in there today, big kid, first day transfer from Vanderbilt. They're going to just add to that rapport of players there. Eli Wellman as well, I don't want to forget him. But it'd be great if they could go 4 wide, 5 wide, and have that second dangerous inside receiver. Who is it going to be? I still think Jackie Marcellus is a guy the coaches want to see healthy, see what he can do. Was unhealthy, didn't do much in the spring. Could it be Lamar Parker? Could it be maybe Shelton Gibson, a guy who's probably going to be outside, but perhaps he's too skilled and has to move inside? I want to keep an eye on that and see how it goes. Offensively, the running back situation today was just a mixed bag. Shell, Smith, Bowie, Garris, people like that, all the names you know. And of course Wendell Smallwood, who was also out there, no restrictions in his participation. Not that we thought any were coming. And then the big freshman, DTW, is as big as Russell Shell, and together they make Dreamer Smith look a little bit smaller, which is kind of funny when you consider that Smith has been the quote-unquote big guy around here for a little more than a year now. But certainly the freshman from North Carolina is a nice-sized kid, 220 pounds, and looks smooth when he runs, keeps a low center. It's going to be hard to knock a guy that big off of balance. How about who wasn't there offensively? Because there's a couple. Receiver, freshman, Jacob McCrary. Junior college, offensive lineman, Justin Scott. And, well, we'll get to the other guys in a little bit here. But McCrary is on the roster. I'm told he's approved, and he's just going through some procedural stuff before he can get out in the field. His participation is just considered eventual, I guess, at this point. Other side of the ball, I told you before I didn't think Jalen Myers would make it, which is a shame because he's a junior college All-American defensive back. They thought he could help right away. He's not there today. Dante Angus, we're not really sure where he was going to start out with West Virginia offense, defense. He's a big guy, defensive lineman, offensive lineman, maybe, who knows. But the signing day surprise, probably no surprise, not here yet. Not really sure what to make of Scott, Angus, and Myers yet, but McCrary is here and on the way. That is, again, is just eventual from what I understand. Also not in the field, and we might seek explanations for this. It could be minor, it could be serious, who knows, but offensive lineman Walter Rauerkis and Amani Brown from Morgantown High, as well as safety KJ Dillon, who Tony Gibson told me is really the key to what happens on the defense this year. They could be sick, they could have personal matters, they might have gone home because they're homesick, who knows. Let's not put a whole lot into that right now. I will effort an explanation later. And then finally, just some stuff I saw on defense that was interesting to me. Damon Cogdell working almost exclusively with the defensive linemen, for which they could use a number more bodies. They have some big guys there, some people who have experience, guys like Kyle Rose, guys like Eric Kinsey, even Christian Brown, Noble Wachukwu, Dontrell Hyman, but not a whole lot before that behind them before Shaq Riddick arrived. Number 4, big guy in blue out there today, has the old Sam Jackson New Orleans Saints face mask, and they think highly enough of him right now that he is your number 1 defensive end. Also, let me clarify something I said about Christian Brown earlier today. I only felt like doing 2 takes, I guess, so I didn't press the stop button and start over, but I called him the man in the middle. I stick by the fact that he's had a really good offseason. The coaches like him, but yes, he has been moved from inside to outside, nose to defensive end. However, I do think you're going to see him play middle half of the defensive line more often than not, because he could be covered by a safety, he could be covered by a linebacker, a guy that big. Boy, he could really handle it inside, I think. Linebackers, just again, a lot of them out there, guys with experience, probably the position with the greatest depth, which is good. It's going to be good for guys like Isaiah Bruce, who just didn't have a great year last year, and he's probably going to feel the push from a guy like Edward Muldrow. Inside, what about Rasheed Benton, a freshman last year who nearly played early on? They kind of decided just to put the red shirt on him, but he's coming, and he can add to the competition and certainly the performance inside. That's going to be a fun situation to watch develop constructively, I think. It's not going to fall apart. You're not going to see a thin situation there. It seems like they will have good competition throughout. And then let's finish where we started. Punt returns, always interesting to me, because you kind of find out who coaches really like as far as skill and potential goes. Crest, not going to count him, but guys you might consider to help what was not a great point of strength last year, but the people they had out there. Jordan Thompson, to go with Mario Alford, and as well as a little guy from Miramar, Florida, Eric Pitton, kind of a short, scat guy back there returning punts. We'll see how it goes with them, but fun to see them out there on the first day and see what they could do, because they'll be more permanent fixtures than the highly touted quarterback from Baltimore. I'm Mike Casazza of the Charleston Daily Mail. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time.